If you're watching this, it's because you have picked up the Westchester magazine and are about to review the half-year market report. So let's jump right into it. In Westchester in 2024, so this is a half-year market report from January to June. The average two-bedroom home sold for $524,000. The average three-bedroom home, and we saw 90 of these homes, sold for $666,000. The average four-bedroom for $763,000, and five or more bedrooms in our area, we saw them sell for an average of $946,000. Now, how does that compare month to month? And that's exactly what I'm looking at here. We're going to have months that are slower, and we're going to have months that peak a little bit better. So you can see in our specific area which month might be the best one to sell or to buy. So in January, very slow beginning, 16 homes sold at an average price of $662 with an average of 40 market days. And if you look straight down the line, everything's 40, 41 days. That's typically what we're seeing in our area, with the exception of April. Now, February, in terms of volume, we saw 27. March, we saw 38, 34, 40, 30. So June was a little bit slower in terms of total volume, total homes sold. And we saw the most in the month of May. So you can see it right here. What about prices? So we went from 662, 715, 744. So it did a peak there in March. April, 714, it went back down. Then 771 in May, and we finished up June with 709. So we're starting to head, we were in the upper mid 700s, and now we're starting to head towards the lower 700,000s in the area. Here, what I did is I analyzed year over year, what has been happening, what are the prices. And you can see in 2020, you can get an average home for $431,000. So this is 2020 and how many homes have sold, right? So we saw 215. Remember the beginning of 2020, we did have COVID. So the volume was lower. But look at this, 272, 250, 215, 190. The total homes sold at the beginning of the year, in the first half of the year, should I say, have been declining. But prices, 431, 502, 601, 663, and this year, 727. So the average home is costing $727,000 here in Westchester. Now, let's look at by neighborhood. So there's a couple different neighborhoods that I like to analyze. The reason I say Greater Westchester is because they were trying to incorporate the city of Westchester. And when they did that, we had the Westchester, Olympia Heights, University Park, and Westwood Lakes all included in that. So that section from the Turnpike to the 826, 8th Street to Miller. That section is what they were trying to incorporate to the city of Westchester. So this is what I'm analyzing here. So Westchester, 63 homes sold with a sales volume of $54 million, meaning that that's the amount of homes that sold at the price combined for that first half of the year. This year, we saw a little bit more homes sell in that specific neighborhood, 66 homes at $45 million. So the volume was lower in total. Olympia Heights, we saw 41 homes sell, 32 million last year. This year, 48 homes sold, went up at 41 million. So it did go up on both sides here. University Park, 68 homes at 45 million. This year, substantially down, 45 homes at 35 million. Westwood Lakes, 28 at 16 million, and this year 32 homes at 21 million. So this one went up as well, as we can see it here. So overall, we saw 215 homes sell last year, and this year we're seeing 190, and the sales volume has gone down a little bit, but not as much as what can be expected. So what about, anyone has access to this information? What does it mean, right? So looking at this bottom chart here, we're gonna analyze this in a little bit. Cash versus financing. Homes that were bought with cash on average sold for 4.7% less than those that are financed. And you can look at it here. So I'm not only looking at the year, at the neighborhood, but I'm also looking at the price range and whether it was cashed or financed, so we can get down to the nitty gritty. So you can see that the average cash home sold for $701,000, where the average financed home sold for $735,000. Look at that price per square foot; it really changes. $387,000 and versus 430. Now, there's an argument there also that homes that are sold for cash might be in worse condition, and that's why they need the cash. So that way they can bypass a lot of the bank regulations and everything. But on average, when we're looking at 40 homes versus 145 homes, we can see that there is that discount. It's about the same market days, about the same lowest, highest, and it's just the price that's changing right here. Now, 9 homes sold between 500 and under, 500,000 and under. 165 homes sold between 501 to 999. This is where we see the majority of the homes here. 10 over $1 million, and then 1 over $2 million is what we saw in this area. And you can see as the homes get more expensive, it takes longer for these homes to sell. This is obviously the bread and butter. So this is what we have here. So we're going to see there, and you can see the average home size of what's sold there, the highest sold, lowest sold, price per square foot. And then we can also compare it to previous years. So you can see it here, how things have been increasing, looking at it, and also the average rate for the season, right? So we looked at it all over here, so you can have that information. I kind of went over this for the most part, but it is interesting to see. And then here, I went specific. I went to each one of the neighborhoods. So Westchester, right? This is from the Palmetto, 8th Street, 97th Bird Road. This section here is what I call true Westchester. And typically there's about 150 home sales. And we're sitting a little bit low because we're halfway done with a year and we see 66 homes sold. Whereas last year was 83, then we were at 95. So we're seeing that the total homes sold has gone down over the years. But we're sitting at 66 homes sold, 689,000, the price per square foot at 421, highest sold 1.1 million, lowest sold 400,000, and 36 market days for homes to sell in this area. Now let's go to Olympia Heights. Olympia Heights has a couple of higher end luxury areas between Lake Catalina, Sunkiss Estates, but this one overall goes from Bird Road, 102nd Avenue, Miller. You get this little nook of Sunkiss Estates here, and it does cover Tropical Park there. So what we saw this year, 47 homes sold at an average price of $863,000, average price per square foot, 445. Highest sold almost 2.5 million, lowest sold 420,000, taking about 49 days for homes in this area to sell. In University Park, which is just west of Westchester, this cover FIU. It goes from Calle Ocho, 97th down, so they split 97th. This is Bird Road, and then this is the Turnpike. So that's what we're seeing here. And this year was 45 homes sold, 782,000, 392 the square foot, 1.88 million the highest, 415 the lowest, and 49 market days is what we saw here. And here's a good article on predictions on what's going to be going on with mortgage rates. And Westwood Lakes. So this is the last one that we're going to cover. Westwood Lakes is one of the smallest areas, and we just see it's Bird Road to Miller, the Turnpike to 102nd. So this one's west of Olympia Heights. It's a very small area, but it does get a lot of movement. There's a lot of turnover in this area. So we see 32 homes sold at $687,000, $448 a square foot, 1.1 million, 509,000 the lowest, and about 40 market days. So if you find value in this, don't forget to like and subscribe. I cover what's going on in Westchester, so that way you are informed on the largest asset that you have, your home.